Hey there, everybody. I know that my upload schedule has been laughable at best, and I think the last time I really uploaded a video was almost a year ago. So I'm gonna make an attempt to put out a video roughly every 2 weeks or so, at least to start getting through these neighborhoods. So we're gonna start out today by looking at the neighborhood of East Point in Laurendale. So let's go. Gonna use up all my gas before I even get to town. Okay, so entering the city of Laurendale on the East Point Bridge. Come right in through the city here. I'm gonna go around here and park the car. Some public parking under the bridge here. Alright. So coming up this access alley from the parking lot, we're going to hit Ledman Street. And East Point is the obviously easternmost point of Laurendale, the island of Laurendale. We're going to start off right here with one of the older builds in the area. This is the Laurendale Public Library. This is up for redevelopment. So coming in here, you'll see it's a little small, it's a little outdated. This is definitely one of the oldest parts of the city in terms of when I built it. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of doesn't meet today's building standards by what I would be making today. A lot of these will be updated, and a lot of them have already been updated. And I'll do my best to tell you when there has been an update or a renovation that has happened. Because this is the area of the build that there are a lot of them. And if I have documentation or photos of the old build, I'll include them. Anyway, that is the Laurendale Public Library. And I'm going to try to stick to the boundaries of what neighborhoods are, so some of these buildings will be gotten to in other videos. Coming up next, we have Chrissy's Pub. This is the oldest pub in this area, not quite in the build, but definitely this is one of the oldest buildings that's standing around here, both canon and realistically. This one has definitely been updated. It's got some of the new furniture models in it that I've included. It's got a second floor with some more seating and a little darts area. And this actually, as you can see, the change in elevation did at one point used to be two buildings. The secondary building has been absorbed into this building. It did extend a little bit further out here, but you can get into this space up here, which I believe there are some therapist offices. Yeah. And all the way up to the top floor. Very nice office here with 3 sides of windows. We have an apartment building here. Another very old build. It's had a facelift, so it used to be much different looking, but on the inside you can definitely tell it's pretty simplistic. I'm pretty sure these are all just one room. Not much to them. I don't do a lot of furnishing in apartments anyway, except for special occasions, but I try to finish them to the point of what it would look like if you were to move into an apartment. So those are obviously a little bit more simple, but some of these builds are going to be like this, in here at least. Next we have up a post office. I've noticed that a couple of my post offices are a little small for the area that they're in, but going inside here, this is definitely a little bit newer of a build. Still could use some upgrades. It doesn't have any of the furniture models in it, but that's okay. There's a loading dock back here. Yep. a couple of rooms with boxes. I didn't really know what to put in a post office. Look at me leaving all my doors open. Right here next to Chrissy's, we have a little pawn shop. There's not much to it. Just a room full of stuff. This is an almost entirely untouched room from when this was built. As you can see, you can't even get behind the counter. So, it's like some might have creeped in from next door, but yeah, that is entirely original. I do remember next door here where this little lot is, and part of this road used to be another building. There was a restaurant here, but it was demolished to make room for the bridge. Speaking of the bridge, right here, I mentioned in my overview this overpass for the East Point Bridge runs the whole length of the neighborhood. Kind of gives a little bit of a grungy feel to this sort of urban industrial neighborhood, as we'll get into in a minute here. But yeah, like with this big warehouse, big empty warehouse, closed to the public. I think you can still get into it. Yeah, should be able to walk right through this. There's not much in here. There's some boxes. There's some pillars. There's some stairs. I believe there's a freight elevator somewhere. Yep. Yep, there it is. But just boxes and empty space. Come out on the rooftop, get a nice little view of the city here. All right. Coming back out into this parking lot, we've got the city's central hospital. This is one of the biggest single builds in this neighborhood. And this is an entire redevelopment. So there was an older hospital on this plot of land. It was very outdated. Didn't really make a lot of sense. And again, this is the first part of the city that I built. So walking in here, we obviously have some reception, a lobby. To the right, we have a cafe or cafeteria. Some big open windows looking out at the water and the city. I'm not necessarily going to go through this whole hospital because it's pretty in depth, and honestly, I don't really remember what's in here. But yeah, we have some surgery rooms and an inpatient ward, I guess. I don't really know what you would call this. I do remember I kind of looked around. I used some layouts of a real hospital in my area to kind of get an idea of what would go into a hospital. I didn't entirely know how to make those different things, but I think this wing is an older wing of the hospital that goes into another building that doesn't really have much in it, but I'll show that from another side. Yeah, I tried to make this as realistic as I could for somebody who really hasn't spent a lot of time in hospitals. Basically just looked at some floor plans of hospitals and saw what they included. Oh, wow. There's so much in these that I don't even remember what I've built. So we come all the way back down to the first floor and go in here. We have the emergency department. And down into the basement is the ER. And I'll show that from really the outside where it looks the best, but here are the emergency rooms. A check-in desk and some seating. But we've actually got a turnout here with a separate entrance from up above for ambulance access. We're coming in through the bottom of the hospital. To see this ER. And if we go out from the ER, we actually have a very nice waterfront promenade. The hospital is actually sitting mostly out on a pier. So you've got this waterfront area. Looking back out at what would be the towns of Luther's Cove and Chatham, I believe. All right, now that the sun is coming up, we're going to walk around the other side of the hospital here. Right off the bat, here in the middle of the water, we've got a fort. This is Fort Bromhall, based on a fort in my hometown. Keep following along the pier here. We get just down to some more waterfront walk. It goes all the way around to downtown, and we'll get there in another video, but you can follow this all the way along the waterfront here. We do have a subway station here for Knightley Street, which I don't believe exists anymore. So this needs to be updated. I mean, most of the underground subway system is outdated. As you can see, there's not much. It's pretty much just a tunnel underground. Goes down to what looks like a single subway car. Yeah, it's a little bit in need of update. But in case I haven't said before, these subway trains do actually operate. So to Little Salem. So if you step on that pressure plate, you will be transported to a train car at the Little Salem station, which I believe a lot of these train stations have been changed. So maybe after I finally get through all these tour videos, I'll start posting some videos of the many updates that I've been making along the way. Underground of the parking structure that we parked in earlier. All right, so we're back at the front entrance of Mercy Hospital. We're going to turn here down LeBrun Street. Right here we've got the Elisa Hotel. Big ornate hotel. This hotel actually took the place of an early skyscraper and a supermarket. And again, to put it in perspective how long this build has been going, this hotel is outdated in my book. And it's a second rendition of this space. So there have been many drafts of of this city already. All right, coming out from the hotel, right in front of us we've got that front building, the older building that was attached to the hospital. There is nothing in it at this point. It is just a few interior rooms that connect to the hospital. This used to be a little office building. I think it might have had a cafe in the bottom floor, but it's being repurposed. That said, there's nothing in it yet. Next door, we've got a little travel agency. Very much needs some updates. Although I will say, seeing some of these old builds, it's interesting to compare them to the buildings that are being built in the city today, and just to see how much my build style has grown, because this is what I was building, and things have gotten much more detailed. Much of this area is this era of builds, but once in a while you'll find one that has been replaced. Coming out from the gift shop, we have the ferry terminal for the ferry system in the city. Again, kind of one big room right now, but we've got some some fares there. Not really sure how this room would work, but downstairs we've got the actual terminal space. which here's a good clash of old and new. This is a very old build, old space. Didn't really think too much about how rooms were laid out yet. But you come outside and, barring the benches that need to be replaced, the exterior, the gate area, is all very new. Based on a ferry terminal that I used a lot growing up, almost daily, as well as some of the boats here that are sitting around, which you can check out if you want. You can walk around on the boats. Not much to them. They are a little bit undersized. Once in a while, the scale that I'm using does kind of bite me, but that's okay. So if we come back off the boat, we kind of skipped this area. This would be, I believe, Long Wharf. So here's the back side of that building. The building's on LeBrun Street. If you came down this street, you'd hit Long Wharf here, which is based on Long Wharf in Boston. And this is based on the old Custom House in Boston. Can go inside. A lot of architecture in this building, not a lot of content. So basically built this building to be pretty. Wasn't really sure what should go in it. I think a lot of these buildings, or these rooms, are very empty. Yeah, but that's okay. I only do so much interior. I don't like to leave shells of buildings, so I don't typically do nothing in the interiors, but I also don't really enjoy doing interiors that much, so only some interiors are like incredibly detailed. A lot of them are kind of just bare minimum, but a grand majority do have interiors, at least. So coming back over here to the ferry terminal, we're going to go underneath the East Point Bridge where we came in. We're going to get to the parking area and staging for the car ferry. We can go out here onto the car ferry. We've got a little forklift that's kind of hangs out on the boat for now. A little bit of a seating area, but this is primarily for vehicles. And you will see a handful of these bridges, boat bridges, around the world where this ferry can land. I put a lot of work into renovating the waterfronts around the islands, because a lot of, when I first started building, I really wanted this to feel bigger than it was. I didn't have much of a render distance, and I just wanted to feel like I was immersed in the city, so I did a lot of inward-facing buildings, which basically meant that when it came to the waterfront was nothing. It was the backs of these buildings that just kind of went down into the water. So actually the water line was really where all these buildings were. And I've had to retroactively come back and make a waterfront. I'm still kind of working on sort of turning some buildings around. Like a lot of these still don't have much of a base floor. But that's a big work in progress. So to come right up here, we have PJ's Pub. Very directly based on a bar that I used to visit in college. I'm noticing a lot of the builds in this area need to be updated with furniture. Got a little outdoor patio, which I could definitely make a little bit more organized with some real furniture. But it's got a nice little view looking out at the bridge, looking across the harbor. You can come into here and get to the upstairs of the buildings, which I believe are just apartments. Yep. Yeah, and these also need to be updated, but you've got some apartments. And then I guess this one goes upstairs to our top floor. Yeah. Are there 2 apartments up here? Oh, here we go. This is the rooftop. Look at that view. I'm not going to go in through every apartment in this city, don't worry. Because there is an ungodly amount of apartments. And I frankly don't know the state of them all, so we'll see how that goes. Coming back out here onto what I believe is still LeBrun Street. I believe it flips all the way around here. I don't see another street sign. Here's the loading dock for the post office. I did walk by this other kind of just boarded up abandoned building, which funnily enough, that abandoned building has been renovated because actually this whole street has been renovated here because the pub used to be a restaurant that was from the first era of building, and I really didn't like it. This was an abandoned building from that same era, and I really didn't like it, so I basically made a new abandoned building. This bridge was obviously not here. And actually, the overpass really didn't exist because for a long time, the bridge just came straight down onto this street. And it really didn't work. It would have been a very dangerous street to be on in real life. Down here we have a tunnel that goes kind of around the north end of the island on a boulevard that connects to downtown and Old Town, mainly because at this point there really was only one road in and out of this neighborhood, and it didn't seem safe or realistic to me for how much is over here, so I had to make another route of access. But yeah, there you have it. This is the East Point neighborhood in the City of Laurendale. Stay tuned for more updates. I'm going to do as many of these neighborhoods as I can. We're going to move across the city, and then we'll get into the other City of New Flagstaff at some point when I get over there. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.